Hello friends, it feels like forever since I have sat down to film, mostly because it has been forever since I've sat down to film, but I've missed it. I've wanted to sit down and film, things have just been a little crazy over here, but I thought we would just sit down, catch up, chat, and fold some laundry. I've got a whole big basket of laundry right here. I actually have a whole other basket of laundry to do. To fold, it's already in the dryer. And I thought we could just kind of fold laundry together, chat, catch up, see how everybody's been. And then, I also kind of wanted to talk about some bigger ideas I've been thinking about lately and just being open and honest with you guys. So let's just hop right in. I'm folding Mr. Baby's clothes. I'm folding towels. I'm folding our clothes. I actually have a question for you guys. Leave a comment down below. How do you separate your laundry? Because I just do lights and darks. If I'm getting really fancy, sometimes I'll do like all of my towels in one load, but most of the time I'm not getting that fancy. Just curious what you guys think. So I have really taken a step back as far as my makeup routine. I know that isn't like why you guys are tuned into this video, but I kind of wanted to mention it because I have been a really big makeup person for a long time, since I was about 21. I'm 29 now, so it's a long time. With being a mom and like not having time, I just was looking for something. This is how I feel about my hair. This is how I feel about my makeup. This is really even how I feel about clothing. Things that'll just reduce and streamline my morning routine. So I was trying to figure out ways to do that, and I don't have perfect skin, okay? Let's get it out there. Something that is hard for me is when people talk about, well, I just use a little tinted moisturizer and my skin looks perfect. And I'm like, you didn't even need tinted moisturizer. Your skin looks perfect without makeup. And that's why some of the people I'm talking about, they can record like a whole vlog without any makeup on and they still look gorgeous. And look, I'm not saying if your skin isn't perfect without makeup, you're not gorgeous. I'm just saying that I think for many of us, we feel self-conscious. So all that said, I have been interested in kind of building up my confidence in that area and wanting to figure out ways to do my makeup that were faster, didn't have as much coverage, and just being okay with that. So for me, one of the big things is foundation. When I do my foundation, that means that I'm sitting down with a sponge and a brush, and then I have to, after doing my foundation, which is more full coverage, I have to like bring back the contours of my face and the color, or else you look like a ghost. So you have to do bronzer and blush and all these things. And I was like, I don't have time for this. I would much rather use a tinted sunscreen or a tinted moisturizer that I can use, just like rub in with my fingers, and that's it. So I've been kind of doing some exploring. I think I figured out a combination that I like. It's the Neutrogena UV tinted moisturizer or sunscreen, I think, and mix that with my Honest CC cream. And the reason that that works is because the Honest CC cream has quite a good amount of coverage, but if you actually use that alone, you would have to then do those other things I was talking about, the bronzer and the blush. But if I mix it with the Neutrogena, then it lightens the coverage a little bit. So it does even out my skin tone, but it doesn't totally wipe out any color in my face. So I've been doing that, and that's really it. I've been doing a little bit of spot concealing on those days that I have a few more acne spots, which at 29, I still have, but generally that's just made my routine so much faster. So I'm doing that, I'm putting on mascara, I'm putting on eyebrow gel, and I'm putting on like a lip gloss or a tinted chapstick or something like that. And that is my whole routine. And I think it works for me. And it's just enough that I feel put together in the morning, but it's not so much that I am just sitting in front of the mirror forever. So that's kind of the update with my makeup routine. I kind of wanted to mention it because I'm coming on camera, and often when I have come on camera before, it has been important to me to look really put together and to really take the time to do my makeup. But I want to be more realistic with you guys. To be honest, that's kind of where I'm at, and that's where I want to, like some things I want to talk about in today's video, is just that I have been trying to be almost like a perfect version of myself on the internet. And not always. Like, I've been very open with you guys, but there are times that, social media, you want to make your life look nice and clean and perfect. And I'm not saying that people should be spreading all of their inside information on the internet or like not being private. But showing the highlight reel isn't great either. And so just being more honest and realistic about where I'm at, how I'm experiencing life, what it looks like to be a mom, like, I think that's important. And so this is what my makeup really does look like, not what it looks like in a video where I'm trying to look my absolute best. This is what it looks like on a normal day-to-day basis. So I thought I would mention that. I'm also planning on getting a haircut actually at the end of this week. So I'm thinking I'm gonna take off like 3-4 inches, just because I feel like the ends of my hair have gotten a little scraggly, and also I don't like that I have to spend so much time on my hair. Again, it's just this convenience factor. If I don't style my hair, then it looks messy to me, and I would prefer to have a shorter morning routine that really does make my hair look easier and better to do, and it's just not as hard. So you'll see a different haircut soon enough. It's been really nice over here. We really wanted to focus on Mr. Baby for a little while. I think I took this break kind of right before Passover, and I've just been taking my time to spend it with Mr. Baby. He's 15 months now. He's walking. It's incredible. He's such a big boy. Actually, this morning, the funniest thing happened. He's like way more capable than I realize sometimes. So he figured out how to open the pantry, of course. And of course, he likes to pull every single thing out that's on the shelves. And so he opened the pantry. He pulled down some granola bars. And I was like, okay, there's a box of granola bars and it's basically sealed, like you can't really get your hand in to grab anything. So I walked out of the room, I come back, he has gotten out a granola bar, and not only has he gotten out a granola bar, he has figured out how to tear into the packaging, and he's eating it on the floor, and he's just like happily eating his little granola bar. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know he was so self-sufficient. And he was just eating, he was happy. It was cracking me up. So, you know, motherhood is awesome. I'm loving it. And spending just some time really focused on him, really focused on homemaking has been really special. So it was just a nice gift that I gave myself for the last few weeks so that I could just focus on being a mom. You know, I've been having some thoughts about stay-at-home mom stuff. The truth is that, so I talk a lot about how being a stay-at-home mom is a full-time job, and it is the most important job, and that there is nothing more important that any woman could do. And I do believe that in my heart. But I was raised in the shadow of feminism, as pretty much all of you were, I'm guessing, all of the people who are watching this video. And so no matter what I know to be true in my heart, I struggle with feeling like I'm not fulfilling my potential, or like I'm not doing something important enough for people to like give me credit for, which I think is a natural feeling if you haven't been raised in a home where either your mom was a stay-at-home mom or where your community really values being a stay-at-home mom. Now, that's not to say that my community doesn't value being a stay-at-home mom, but my community also really values working women. So I think that there's kind of this feeling of like, am I doing something worthy? Like, for example, taking a break from YouTube for a while, I felt really bad. I felt like I wasn't doing something important or showing that I had, you know, done my part to prove myself. Instead of just being like, you know what? The most important thing that I could be doing is raising a person. You know, it's really a hard thing because I think we turn motherhood into something anyone can do, which anyone can do motherhood, but not, and this is controversial, not everyone does it well because not everyone prioritizes it. My husband and I were actually talking about this, that like, you're not allowed to say that somebody who devotes their entire life to parenting is in any way superior to somebody who puts girl bossing at the forefront of their priority list and puts motherhood second. And it makes those women who are saying, you know, I know this is more important, it makes it feel as though your efforts are not recognized. In any other career, like in any other job, we can say that someone is better at their job. We can say that they work harder and they put in more time and they get recognized. You can't do that with motherhood because it's such a sensitive topic. What I'm talking about is not so much about like you're doing it right and you're doing it wrong, because there's so many different ways to parent, right? There's like gentle parenting, there's more discipline, there's like all these different sleep training, not sleep. There's a million different ways to parent, but the priority list matters. And saying that it doesn't really undermines the women who have said, this is the most important job and I'm going to put it at the top of my list. But you know, I really want to get to a point where I can feel like I fulfilled my potential as a mom, that it doesn't have to be this other thing that people look at and give me credit for, whether that be YouTube or Substack or whatever else it is, something outside of my home. I just don't want to feel like I'm constantly trying to find my worth outside of the most important job that I have. Motherhood is an interesting thing because we were raised in this society. There's a lot of like marriage is 50-50, everyone needs to be contributing all the time, and like household chores need to be 50-50. And there is truth to that in certain situations, in certain circumstances. Depending on your family's dynamic, that may be true, right? If you both are working because you both need to provide, then both people should also be contributing to the household tasks. But if I'm the stay-at-home mom and I'm the homemaker and my husband is working hard all day to provide for my family, why does he also have to take on a bulk of the household chores? And why do I feel resentful for certain things? And it's like all of this dialogue about, I see it all the time on Instagram, the dialogue about just like invisible labor of women and how husbands have it so easy. They get to come home and they get to not take care of the kids and they get to do all these things. Not every man and most men don't love their jobs. They would much prefer to be like hanging out at home than working to provide for your family. So why are you making it into like an us versus them situation? Mothers versus fathers, or like wives versus husbands. It's just a very depressing way to look at marriage, is my husband doesn't do enough because he earns for the family, but then he also doesn't clean and cook and do all the things that I have to do. It's like, you know what? You have different jobs and different roles, right? We all have different jobs and different roles. But in the pit of my stomach, because this is the world I've lived in and this is the stuff I see constantly, I do sometimes feel resentful and I don't want to. And I've really been trying to change that dynamic. And one of the things I've been thinking a lot about is just we depend so much on others to make us feel appreciated. Okay, so my husband makes me feel appreciated because he tells me how much he appreciates me, a fair amount. At what point is it enough? Meaning, at what point does it not become the topic of every conversation that he has to tell me how appreciated I am? And am I telling him how much I appreciate him? That's number one, really. Am I telling him that I appreciate how hard he works? That's number one. And number two, how much do we have to tell each other that we appreciate each other? That's not to say that it doesn't have to be ongoing. It does have to be ongoing. You constantly have to be saying thank you and saying how much you appreciate what the other person is doing and how hard they work. But it can't be every conversation you have. So the question is, where does that feeling of appreciation come in a sense. Like, when do you appreciate yourself? You don't need someone else to constantly be telling you that you're appreciated. And I think it comes from you. It comes from you saying to yourself, I know what I'm doing is good and important, and I feel good about the contribution I'm making. And household labor is not just, boring work. It's actually really important to making a house a home. But also I think it comes from God, and recognizing you're doing godly work, and knowing that your role, your tasks are in service of something greater than yourself. And so when you give that feeling over to God, I think you can appreciate your own career as a homemaker more, and not have to put the onus of responsibility on your husband to make you feel appreciated. Just some thoughts I've been having. I want to talk about them more on my channel because, like I said, I make reels and Instagram and all this stuff about just how important this job is that I do, being a mom and being a wife. And I do believe it so strongly, obviously, but I also struggle with it. And I want to be honest about that. It's like I have all these narratives in my head that I have to constantly bash down like whack-a-mole. And I'm sure many of you have them too, especially if you've come to this ideology and philosophy later in life, right? Because look, I was raised in a traditional home in the sense that family was first, but my mom worked and my dad stayed at home. So that wasn't so traditional. And working felt like something I was really supposed to do. So not doing it was very scary and something that I struggle with sometimes. So I'd love to know what you guys think. If any of you are stay-at-home moms or thinking about becoming stay-at-home moms, what are your feelings on this stuff? Do you ever struggle with this, or is it just easy for you? Do you just feel yeah, this totally is the most important thing I could do and I feel great about it? I'd love to know, because I feel like that's a good conversation we could have in the comments here, and I love seeing our community talk about it. Anyways, that's been some things on my mind. In other news, Jacob and I celebrated our 5th anniversary. So we've been married for 5 years now, which is crazy. We've been together for 6 years because we got together. We started dating on May 28th, 2017, and we got married on May 27th, 2018. So we got married one day under a year. It's been an incredible 5 years, incredible 6 years, but incredible 5 years of marriage. Now I feel like I have a little bit more authority to talk about marriage stuff, especially also because we have a child. But I remember when I started making videos about marriage and relationships on my channel, people were like, you've only been married 2 years, you can't give advice. And I was like, I get it, but also this is mostly passed down wisdom from my parents, from my community, from my religion. So I'm not saying that I, as woman married for 2 years, am the expert. I'm saying, as somebody who has adhered to traditional philosophy as regarding relationships and marriage, this stuff works. That's really kind of where it came from. We celebrated by going to see Fast X. Okay, we gotta talk about this. Fast and Furious. This is a series my husband and I watched jokingly during COVID. We watched all, I think there were 8 at the time, and we loved it because it's so ridiculous. It went from grounded, okay movie to insanity, and it is so ridiculous and so funny, and it takes itself so not seriously but also seriously because it's Vin Diesel. And the whole theme, just the family, the idea of family when no one is actually has a traditional family, it makes us laugh so hard. So for our anniversary, we went and saw the 10th Fast movie, which was, again, hilarious. Loved it. Jason Momoa was top tier. I recommend this series if you like watching movies that are goofy, because they are goofy, and it is fun to watch. And we went to the zoo, which if you've been following me for a while, you probably know. I feel like I've mentioned this on my channel a weird amount. that we love going to the zoo, and Mr. Baby had the best time. He's now at this stage where he just wants to wander everywhere, get into everything, open every box. He did not really look at the animals, but he definitely did wander the paths and just have an amazing time. We actually only saw half of the zoo, which I said, that's awesome, because that means that the next time we come, there'll be a whole other section we haven't even seen. By the way, this is a Paw Patrol towel that I believe a cousin left at our house because none of us watch Paw Patrol. Actually, Mr. Baby doesn't do screen time, like at all. And we are doing a trip to go visit my husband's parents. We're gonna be there for a while, like 2.5 weeks. But we haven't flown with Mr. Baby since he was 3 months old. So at 3 months, he is just sleeping and nursing. Like, that's all we're doing. And so it was a very easy flight. At 15 months, I don't think it's going to look the same. So I've been told it's very hard to fly with a 15-month-old. So I would just love any tips, any travel tips for a baby. Please leave them down below. We would love to avoid screen time if we could. We really don't want to have him watching anything until he's about 2. We've discussed maybe being comfortable with like watching a movie with him as a family, or like a show, like one episode of a show like Winnie the Pooh or something. We've discussed that possibility because it's not really screen time in the sense of putting him in front of a screen so that we can get work done. It's more like we're gonna do a family activity of watching something, but it's not our favorite. We don't love it, and I don't like the kind of glaze that these babies get over their face when they're watching something. So what did you do on a plane to keep your baby entertained? Because I don't know the answer to that question. And I don't want to be that annoying person on the plane who is also making a whole load of trouble for everyone else by not doing something that would entertain the baby. But by the way, I didn't even say, welcome to my son's nursery. I'm sitting in my son's nursery because it's my favorite room in the house, and it is the most well designed. Like, it has a corner I can film in. My house is open concept, so that means that the whole center of the house is one giant room, which makes it difficult for me to sit down and film in there, because it's kind of like if anyone needs anything, they're gonna need to walk through. So we have 3 bedrooms and then this big open concept. So trying to film in anywhere except the main area, it would be my husband's office, which obviously he's working in, the nursery, which works because my mom is currently watching Mr. Baby, or our bedroom, which could work, but it doesn't have like the same cute vibe where you're sitting on the floor. I actually don't know where I would film in my bedroom if I were to make that work, but I'm trying to think about that because it might be nice to do that. We're also doing our Substack book club this week. We did an Agatha Christie book called And Then There Were None. So I'm excited to chat about it with my followers, with my subscribers over there. If you're not already subscribed to my Substack and to my YouTube, you should check it out. YouTube is free, so just click the subscribe button. My Substack is also free, but if you want all the like premium benefits, then it's $7 a month. And we have a really great book club over there. We do a Zoom call once a month. So I'm excited to chat with the ladies and see how everyone's doing. Let me know what books you are reading in the comments below. I would love to hear. And I think we're pretty much done with the laundry. So I am going to call it. We're gonna say goodbye for now, but I am excited to be back on YouTube. I'm excited to be recording again, and I can't wait to see you guys in my next video. Bye.